Welcome to the Creative Island Podcast,
a show aimed at helping creative individuals transform their passion into profession.
Each episode will share powerful strategies, tips, and practical tools to empower you to create the income, the lifestyle, and the legacy you were designed for.
We are your hosts, Adam Bowman
and Jason Pepper.
Enjoy the show. Creative Island Podcast. We're back in the building, Studio 53. We're here, Adam Bowman, your host, with the resident co-host, Jason Pepper. How you doing, dude?
Good, man. Happy to be back. Another episode.
So I'm 22. I'm a young lad. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you? If you feel comfortable, you can give a ballpark answer.
I had to think about that for a second. I'm 31.
Okay, yeah. So we're about 10 years apart.
90. I'm 32. I don't know. 91.
Dude, get it together, dude.
Nobody asked me that question, you know.
But anyways, the segue for why I ask you is, you go back 10 years. To my shoes, your 22-year-old Jason. What do you wish you knew? What knowledge do you wish you had when you were my age? Because if I could have that now, I'm already ahead of where you were when you're 22, and I got that on you. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. All right. Okay. No, that's good. I like where that's going. For sure, man. I can share some stuff.
Let's do it.
So, okay, let's go through 10 things I wish I knew when I was 22.
Perfect.
You know, and I think a lot of these will be. Some of these I've gotten from my mentors over the years. Some I've gotten from other people over the years. But they're all things that I've adopted in my life that, you know, kind of help me stand on the shoulders of giants.
Let's go, dude. I love
from
that.
The shadows.
Yeah. And it rhymes. Things I wish I knew when I was 22. Like,
it's
just hitting, bro. It's just hitting.
There you go. All right. So number one is never be the smartest guy in the room. And like this one sounds like pretty, you know, I think most people have heard this before, but I want people to see it in a different way. In school, in university, you're taught to be the smartest guy in the room. You're taught to raise your hand, ask questions. You're taught to like be the leader of the group and talk the most and do a lot of talking.
Totally.
But the reality is you don't learn when you talk, you learn when you listen. So you have to make a big shift. And it doesn't mean hang out in a room full of people that are smarter than you. I think that's helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
But it just means even if you're in a room with people who aren't as smart as you in whatever way, that you're still showing that you're genuinely interested in other people and that you can learn something. There's always a takeaway. So, and I think that's really, really important. Like how many times you walked in a room of people that you've never met before and you go through and you're just like flexing to everybody. And
yeah,
you
totally.
People, and you're like, oh, I'm the best. And this is what I've done.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then you leave the event or you leave the room and you find out like, man, did you know who you're talking to? And you just realize that the guy you were talking to or the people you were talking to were way above you. And you're just like,
you just blew it.
You just blew it. You
blew
just
the
feel
bag.
like insecure and a piece of shit.
Yeah, and you leave there with no network, no leads to any new business. Like, you know, it just, I've done that so many times before, and you never feel good afterwards.
We all have done it. I think we all talk. I talk too much. Everybody talks too much. But
Big time.
But the reality is like, you know, if you go as a listener and you're not bragging, you know, you ditch your ego, leave your ego at the door, and you're not bragging about you, and you go and you just want to listen and be intent, you know, listen with good intentions and be interested in other people, you actually leave with something instead of leaving with a temporary feeling of like elation because you're all like, yeah, I just got to go like pump my tires for 2 hours. But then you get the turbulence after of like, oh, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have did that. Damn it. So you leave with nothing versus maybe you didn't get to go tell everybody what you did and all your great successes, but at least you left with something.
Yeah.
And that's way more productive and you'll find that really changes things.
Yeah, that's what happened to me yesterday. Like I had the opportunity to go to McMaster University to film TEDx Talks, which is TEDx is like the independent branch of TEDx or TED, where you can just people or organizations can throw their own, but they're still associated with it.
Yeah, totally.
And so I wasn't part of the main videography committee. I was sort of just a subcontractor hired by one of the speakers because like they've kind of been not like shutting him down, but he's done so many TED Talks so they don't post them anymore. So he just wants to have them so he can have the material. And I came in, like I wasn't communicated very much with about how I was getting in, who I was shooting. So I just pulled up and this dude was like, are you my guy? I'm like, I think so. Like, did you hire like a sub? He's like, yeah, okay. I was like, sweet. He's like, so what are you? And I just sort of was like, I'm going to take a humble approach to introduce myself. I was like, oh, I just graduated, you know, just really not saying no to opportunities. I love TED. I just wanted to come. And then he just gives me his backstory, how he's a comedian. He's been in 7 continents twice. He's just done the whole world. I'm like, if I had come at that of like, oh, I've won awards, I'm a filmmaker, documentarian, and just sort of tooted my own horn, he probably would have lost all credibility in me. But since I took sort of the act of like, I'm here to learn, I'm here to get knowledge, I really love TED, I want to learn from these people talking about mental health, and there was a sort of just theme about legacy, I think he sort of bought into me, and I sent him an email after we had created this dialogue, and I got way more out of that opportunity than just coming in being like, oh, this is just a shitty opportunity, hearing whatever people talk, or you know what I mean? So I think they kind of just goes to show that if you take a more humble approach and you really go there to listen, like you're saying, you can get way more out of the opportunity.
Totally. You just get way more out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't be the smartest guy in the room. Always listen. Like, be genuinely interested in someone else. And to be honest, it's happened to me recently where you go into an event and, you're talking to people and you don't boast about who you are. And then all of a sudden you walk away and they're just like, oh yeah, you know who that was? Yeah, you overhear them saying that. You're like, yo, I didn't even have to do anything. It just worked. And that's just a way better position to be in.
Yeah. Another thing to add on to that, I forget who said it, but there's probably a bunch of people who said it, but it's like silence is power. Totally. Like in what you just said, where it's just like, if you're just out there spilling your beans, saying like your own entire life story and going and trying to sell, and there's some person across the table from you, silent. They hold all the power in that conversation. Because as soon as you sort of like wind down of what your spiel is saying and like they're not feeling the silence, you're just going to say more. You're going to say more, and they still hold that power over top of you. And once I kind of learned that, I'm not very good at that because I like you, I'm a talker. But I think it's just to get that power and try to sort of put that into practice would it just pay dividends in the end for sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's like you got to think like you got to condition to be that way. So it takes time, right? But the more mindful you are of it, the more you can implement it, the more you can you get better over time. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. Number two is respect is earned, never given. So like
in everything,
nobody just gets respect for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think if you want a certain reputation, you want to be known as a certain type of person, or you want to be known for a certain type of thing, there's no shortcut. You have to represent the behavior of that person.
Yeah.
You have to represent the person you want to be behaviorally before you get the reputation.
For sure.
So that's it. Go out there and grind.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it takes a while. Like sometimes you change your behavior and you start acting like that person and you don't really get recognition right away.
Totally.
But then, over time things start to fall in place, but just be consistent and be,
That's where I am right now, where it's just like I don't have enough credibility or skin in the game, as we've been saying. So it's just like I'm positioning myself as a director, and it's like no one sees me as a director. But I'm like, one day they will, and it's just like if I keep on doing it, like I'm not going to listen to them and be like, oh, I'm not a director and give up. Like that's the worst possible thing to do. You just keep on owning it and being like, I'm a director. Someone tells you you're not, you'd be like, use that fuel to the fire. You know what I mean? And just and then one day, someone will call you a director and you'll be like, oh, there's the respect. Okay, well, now I can actually just do the things I want to do, Totally. And it just falls into place.
Yeah, it just takes time, but just be consistent with the behavior and the rest will fall into place over time. Just keep going.
Love that.
Keep going.
Number three,
we talked about this in another episode, but read quality over quantity. We talked about like I read a lot of books, read a lot of different stuff. I've read a lot of crap. I've read a lot of really important books.
Yeah.
And out of everything I've read, I think if I just read the top 5 things 5 times each, I'd probably get way more out of, that than if I just read all the books that I've read.
Yeah, totally.
Focus on classic books. We talked about this as well because the intention with classic books is usually to give information or pass information on from one generation to the next. So the books are structured, they're genuine, their intentions are good.
Yeah.
Whereas modern books are, they can be pretty flashy and swanky, but the underlying intention is sometimes, hey, I'm just trying to sell you something or I'm just self-promoting.
Yeah, totally.
Which is garbage. So you don't want to read those books if you want to get something.
And if you want to listen to more on that, go to our previous podcast. Take a listen. We dive deeper into that sort of topic, but we'll just brush over it for now just because we don't want to be broken records,
Totally. And if you guys haven't subscribed to our newsletter already, we send a bunch of emails out every month and, sometimes they're book recommendations or our top reads and other things. So you can always get that stuff there as well. So
Creative Island. What is it? What's our website again?
creativeisland.online.
Go there now. Anyways, back number 4.
Number 4, stop saying yes to everything.
I need that.
So like
that's the advice I need right now.
The fastest way to burn out is just say yes to everyone. See what happens. You're going to burn out.
Yeah, totally.
So you got to figure out what exactly is important to you. We're all limited by the same 24 hours in a day. Make sure you stay focused on the things that are going to get the goal that you want. Anything that's not achieving your goals, regardless of what it is, I mean, I'm assuming everyone's, setting goals in all areas of their life. If there's something that goes against something that you've set at a goal, don't do it. Don't fill your space with it. There's no reason to. Say no. It's okay to say no.
Love that. I think that's but it's plain and simple too. It's just like, if you take on too much and you don't have the capacity to take it on, it's just like, you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, and then you just sort of start getting in clients. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that.
No, it's okay. If you get more clients.
Yeah.
If you get more clients, there's ways to handle more clients.
Exactly.
You have to start to delegate.
That's sort of what I was trying to say.
That's a whole other thing. And like, that's cool. You can delegate, and that's ultimately the goal. Like, you want to just focus on the 1 or 2 really important things, and you want to delegate all the things that are not important, right? That's what makes a great life, is when you can liberate yourself from all those shitty things you don't like to do. And that's different for everybody.
Yeah, and then if you have 10 yeses in a month and then you want to get down to 5, just up your price a little bit and see, and like, try not to price yourself out of the market, but just like take on less and try to earn more as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and to some capacity.
No, for sure. And then, so number 5 was be a good person. And it's funny, what I mean by that is that there's so much information in the world right now. There's so much misinformation. You know that old saying, like, it's not that we know so much, it's that we know so much that isn't so. There's just a lot of crap out there. And if you just give good, honest, unfiltered advice, I think people naturally go to where they've been fed, and people return to where they've been fed. So, grow an audience on goodwill, spread goodwill, do good things. And, you can always monetize things later, but you want to be a good person.
Yeah. And I have good intentions at the start. And if you have the opportunity to monetize, that's great. That's awesome. You can get you get some money in your pockets, but at the same, like you just said, like, just have good intentions at the beginning, be a good person. It harvests a great community around you. People are happy. It's better than just kind of being like a dictator to some extent, and then just like telling people what to do, and just, having just bad attitudes toward people. And if you rub people the wrong way in the creative industry, no one's going to want to work with you. You know what I mean? Like, for me, for film, it's just like, you're on set with people for 12 to 18 hours sometimes. It's like, if people don't want to spend that time with you, as just from a human being standpoint, you're not going to get hired. But if you're a cool person and you're really agreeable, but you still have great critique on things, and you just kind of come at things with face value and not try to be too emotional about it, you're going to have way more opportunity come your way than just being a really pushy, pompous type of person that just pushes things away and with the wrong intentions.
Totally. Yeah. Like, the difference, is, persuasion with good intentions is leadership. Persuasion with ill intentions is manipulation. Like, you don't want to be a manipulator. And you just have people's interests at heart, serve humanity, do good things. Yeah. And that will be recognized. And, the other thing that, I heard something recently, goodwill compounds way faster than money does. Doing good things for other people will grow tax-free way faster than any other vehicle that you can invest in. So, do good things for people, build a big ass community of honest people doing honest things with a good source of information or whatever. And eventually, you can always convert that into money later. Goodwill can convert into money. But money's taxable, goodwill's not. So grow a big community, give for free, give for, just spread goodwill. And and that takes you pretty far.
It's so wholesome. I love that one, dude. What's next?
All right. So this is a bit of a segue, but okay, forget about what people think about you. Cause this is something
huge for creatives, man.
When I was 22, I wish I knew this. Because everybody cares so much about what other people think, which is the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Think about it like this. this is something else I heard recently, but it's the best way to frame this, you know, to kind of hammer the point home.
Mm-hmm.
But like 2 weeks after your death, which is like arguably the most significant moment of your whole life.
Yeah. Your climax,
yeah,
if you will.
The most significant moment of your life is your death. Only a few people will actually ever remember you. 6 months after your death, almost nobody's talking about you. It's over. Crazy, right?
Just crazy.
So if nobody cares about the most significant moment in your life, why would you give them any weight during your life? Like, why would you give their opinions any weight during your life? It makes no sense. Don't care. Who cares?
Fuck. Sorry to swear there, but that's good. I've never heard that before. Yeah. That's really good.
So like, don't care what people think. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
It's just garbage. They're just spewing out stuff that just means nothing.
Oh my God. That's such a good point. It's just a way to like frame it in a way that doesn't, it's not necessarily negative, but it's just like, hey, like these people, like they're not going to care like when you're gone. So it's just like, why do you care when you're here? You know what I mean? It just makes so much sense that way. And I think for creatives hearing that, I hope they take that to heart and see the good in that, because for me, it's like, I think so much about what other people think, and it's just exhausting at the end of the day. And I mean, in the creative sector, you kind of have to, in some way, you have to take people's opinions into account just for job sake and whatnot. But external towards that, like on social media and whatnot, what you just gotta try to stop and just neglect what anyone else says, because it's not improving you. Even if it is on the other side of that, if they're boosting you up, oh my God, Jason, that was amazing what you said. Like when you take those into account too, feeds your ego, and then you start changing into a different human being, and then it wires you differently in that way as well. So it's also the negative and the positive, where you just kind of got to ride in the middle, where just stay in your lane type of thing, right?
Totally, yeah. Social media is brutal for that. Like, too many people have a voice, like to speak to you, and I think people just take things to heart that they shouldn't. Doesn't matter. Forget what people think about you.
Yeah. Plain and simple.
Okay, number 7. This one seems obvious, but it's I think what most people get wrong in their life. Doing extraordinary things comes from doing ordinary things for an extraordinary period of time.
Love that.
Like, it's not the activity of doing something extraordinary that makes you extraordinary. It's doing the ordinary things for a hell of a long time. Because most people, this is the craziest thing, most people can't do simple things for a long period of time.
Speak on that.
Like, most people can't do the same things over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
They just get bored and they move on.
Yeah.
And they can't stick to something for a long period of time. That's what it takes to succeed.
Yeah, okay.
Like, we talked about this on another episode, but, you know, if you have the most exceptional leg day in the gym, you know, it doesn't matter. It's not extraordinary to have like an awesome leg day routine.
Yeah.
What is extraordinary is to have an awesome leg day routine for 600 days straight.
Yeah.
Because nobody can do that.
Yeah.
Well, not without falling off or restarting or going back to square
one. Or getting
one.
injured or something like, crazy.
Or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's just do the ordinary things over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And eventually they will be extraordinary just by default, just by doing it.
And do you have an example of that? How you've implemented that in any capacity, just like for anecdotal wise, or?
Yeah, like sales is great. Okay. Like a lot of people, so, you know, cold calling, I don't like the word cold calling. It sounds like you're calling the morgue or something, but like action calling.
Okay.
I like action calling too. If you're taking action and you're like trying to find new customers, that's something that not a lot of people like to do, but it's a really simple task. Mm-hmm. And if you just go out there and like action call and action call and action call and be consistent every single day. Like, let's say, you know, 3 or 4 hours of your day is dedicated to like finding new customers. Mm-hmm. Then if you just do the 3 or 4 hours every single day and don't miss a day, you're going to have some extraordinary results. Like it's not even going to compare to the next guy, because the next guy's going to do it for 3 days and he's going to take a day off. And he's going to take a week off. And then 2 weeks will go by and I go, oh shit, I got to do that again. And then it's just like,
you missed the mark already, right?
You've already outworked him like in a 3-week period, like 10 times or whatever. So it's just do the ordinary things, do them consistently. That's the hard part. So that's where everybody gets it wrong.
Consistency, right? Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Consistency towards in doing the action. Like that's for everybody.
Because it's also on the other side of that. If you're consistently not doing it, then that's just like a routine or just an aspect of procrastination that isn't productive. That is driving you away from your dreams or your goals or aspirations. And it's just not helping anyone.
Totally. Yeah. No, totally. So, all right, next one. This is a big one. I'm going to explain this one a little bit because when I learned this one, I had a mentor many years ago that taught me this concept, and it was one of the single biggest kind of shifts for me. It's number 8, and it's everything in life is on the way, not in the way. And I was like,
say that one more time.
Everything in life is on the way, not in the way. Like, let me break this down.
Yeah, please.
when you understand this completely, it really shifts things. Like, this is really going to kind of, change things for you. Everything in nature is trying to find an equilibrium.
Okay, yeah.
So, in mathematics, what we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other, right?
Naturally.
Now, in chemistry, molecules gather and form in nature to find stability and equilibrium. So if you have a really reactive molecule, it's usually held in some unnatural state. As soon as you put it in nature, boom, there's a reaction, but then it's found its equilibrium.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So everything is sort of finding its equilibrium. And then in biology, you've got the same thing happening with ecosystems. You've got ecosystems changing all the time and these imbalances developing, and then nature has a funny way of like balancing it all, regardless of what's happening.
Totally, yeah.
So all these really amazing systems that exist in nature exist in our everyday lives in a lot of different ways, in every way, arguably. And, like how many times have you been like puffed up or cocky, about something, and then the world has a funny way of like just humbling you, right? You get an event in your life where you just like, you get whacked and you're like, oh shit, I was way out of bounds there.
Yeah.
But then the opposite when you're humbled, right? Maybe when you're like feeling, down about yourself, or you're kind of like, you're being humble, which is inauthentic. And the world has a funny way of pulling you up.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Just bringing you back up. So there's all these natural mechanisms and all this feedback happening all around us all the time that's trying to get us to our authentic self. So listen to the feedback. This whole on the way, not in the way means that no matter what's happening in your life, whether it's a challenging event or an event that feels good or whatever, that it's all trying to get you back to authenticity.
I love that. That makes it, just like when you said, like, just put it in more layman's terms on my level, on my reading level, so to speak. When you just say like, when you're mad humbled, or you're like on top of a pedestal, world brings you down off that pedestal, or vice versa. When you're off it for a while and you're looking for something, sometimes it just presents itself and it brings you back up. But it's that shift, I think, that's important. You can't be in one place for too long and you start to plateau and you know what I mean? And then it's just like I was talking about this on, like, I have a podcast for the short film I'm developing, and we're talking about, like, if you do a project and you say, that's the best I can do, I can't get any better, you should just quit and pick up something else, because it's not going to get any better. And then at the same time, though, when you're like, shit has hit the fan, that is the worst it's ever going to be, then you can't, then the next thing you do, the next thing you try, it's going to be better, and it's going to be better, and it's going to be better. So there's like both sides of it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like, I'll give you another example on like on the sales we were just talking about. Like, if you choose the support side of life, if you choose to take the easy road, the world's going to give you the challenge to just bring you back, or vice versa. If you pursue the challenges, the world's going to give you the support side to kind of bring you back. So if this happens to me all the time in funny ways where I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to like take the day off sales today.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to make sales today. I'm going to like do something else, or I'm going to like check in. We have a project coordinator on
just to justify you not doing that task. Right?
Yeah. And I'll do other things. And then all of a sudden the world will give me the challenge to let me know that I was like, I pursued a little bit too much of the support side, and now it's time to like bring you back to authenticity. Right.
Yeah.
So there's always these mechanisms running 24 hours a day. So be careful in life. I'm careful on pursuing too much support in my life. I try to, humans grow at the point of support and challenge. If we didn't have challenge, it'd go extinct. Like, we need it. We need both sides. We need the support side. We need the challenge side. But optimal growth happens somewhere in the middle. So I like to pursue challenges because then the world gives me the supports.
Yeah.
So then you get used, it kind of changes the framework. So, in your life, in your business, in your art, whatever, the listeners are doing, find ways to pursue challenges that you can work at. Because then when you pursue the challenge, you're guaranteed to get the support in some way.
Bada bing, bada boom. Perfectly said, man.
So, okay, that was number 8. And number 9, never budge on your values.
Love that one too. These are great, man.
Yeah. So this one's a big one because I mean, we've all done this and everyone's going to go, yeah, they'll find a moment in your life when, you're like, shit. Where you sacrificed yourself for others or expected someone to sacrifice themselves for you.
Totally.
Neither way is sustainable. Neither way is like both people are leaving. One person's always leaving, with less than the other person. That's not going to work.
No, not at all. It's not platonic. Like there's no reciprocation there. It doesn't work that way in most circumstances.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. So it's just not the way to approach life. And this goes for everything like personal relationships, romantic relationships, business relationships. You have to get really clear on what it is that you value, the things that you're looking for. And then you have to care about the other person enough to find what they value and then communicate your values in terms of theirs. And if you do that, you've got a successful, sustainable transaction.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like a feedback loop that kind of keeps on going, and it can cycle for,
It's sustainable.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll go forever. Where I see people fall short is they're not good communicators. They don't care enough to find what the other person values, and they force other people into their values or other people force them into their values, and then that's when you get this whole sacrificing for someone else or someone else is sacrificing for me.
Strong arming, guilting people into it's not rooted in, like we were saying, being a good person, like one of the ones before. Exactly. It's like you're stepping out of that. And like, especially when things are rooted in expectation and you set up an expectation or vice versa and you don't meet that expectation or someone doesn't, then there's just a big void left and no one is satisfied at that, right?
And everything everything in life is about relationships. Like, in business, let's talk about business relationships for a second. People want to do business relationships with people that help them get what they want. When you help others get what they want, you get what you want. So, as every individual kind of has a bit of a responsibility to find out what the other person really wants. And then communicate what they want in terms of what you want so that there's like an even split there. And sometimes it's not always money. Sometimes it's not always, there's lots of factors there that you can kind of work off of. But never budge on your values because you're just going to get pissed off.
Yeah, totally. Again, when you have that expectation, it doesn't hit, you're left with a void and you just realize you want to know what's gone wrong. But it's like the thing that went wrong is that you set up those impossible expectations that are just unfulfilled. Totally. So you just go back at it again with less expectation and more just sort of the drive on how to actually accomplish it on your own terms or just work more reciprocal with someone in the future or whatever,
Totally. Yeah. Like no one ever betrays you. That's the thing. Like betrayal, nobody ever betrays you. They just do things according to what's valuable to them. And you just misunderstand what's important to them. And you project something that you think is important to them, but then they betray you because you were wrong in thinking that was something that they wanted to do.
That's such a good, even just like life note for sure. For sure. Yeah.
So, that. If you really understand what somebody cares about, then you can communicate that in terms of their values. Then they'll always want to be in a relationship with you because they feel they're getting their needs met. And if you do things right, you get your needs met at the same time. That's just communication. That's like communication's the glue of that whole situation. Yeah. So, don't budge on your values and always try to communicate other people's values.
All right, number 10.
All right, number 10. Number 10 is show humility. And, what the definition for humility for me is like we just talked about sacrificing. You don't want to sacrifice for someone else. And you don't want others to sacrifice for you, obviously. But you want to increase your regard for others. Be interested in other people. Be interested in solving their problems. Be interested in serving other people what they want.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. That's how you really give back. That's how it's sustainable. Just show humility,
Perfect. Can you expand on that at all too?
Yeah, like when you help other people get what they want, you get what you want. You know, we kind of just talked about that.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. It's caring enough about what someone else wants and putting it together in a way that, you know, makes sense for you. You know, totally. When you respect money and you respect, you know, that whole process, you get more money to manage. When you respect people, you get more people to manage. You know, it's when you help others get what they want, you get what you want. Perfect.
And then let's just summarize these really quick. Let's go through them again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like let's summarize this stuff. This is great knowledge. And I think I just want to hit these points again just before we leave the listeners today.
Yeah. Let's do like a little lightning round. We'll just go through it all really quick.
Speed round.
So 1, never be the smartest guy in the room, you know, be a good listener, be genuinely interested in other people. I think that's a really, really important, solid point.
Silence is power. Listen.
Yeah. Listen, be a good listener. You don't listen. You don't learn when you talk, you learn when you listen. So if you actually want to learn,
listen, open those ears, people.
That's it. What's the old saying? God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So we got to do twice the listening to the talking.
There you go, dude.
Okay. Respect is earned, never given. So, you know, be the person you want to, you know, represent the person you want to be through your behavior. And that's it. There's no shortcut to that.
Yeah.
Just do the things you need to do to be the person you want to be, and you will be respected for that.
Perfect.
Always read quality over quantity. There's a lot of stuff out there that you don't need to read. So don't bother with the stuff that's not important. Try to stick to classic books, because we talked about how classic books are genuinely, you know, the intention there was to give you something really good and really well structured so that, you know, you can take things to the next, stand on somebody's shoulders, you know?
Of course.
So number 4 was stop saying yes to everything. We're going to talk about this one a lot.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to come up again.
Most people just don't know how to say no. If you want to be a high performer, if you want to be someone who does a lot or a lot more than other people, you know, you need to find a way to do less in a 24-hour day.
Yeah, totally.
You have to stop saying yes to too many things, because you're just filling your day up with crap. It's not helping you.
Yeah, and it's that optimization of what you actually value and what serves you, what starts paying you instead of you paying it, right?
Yeah, totally. Number 5, be a good person. You know, spread goodwill. That's compounds way faster than money. Just be a good person, spread goodwill. You can always monetize goodwill, but you know, if it doesn't start out on goodwill, it's probably not going to end too well.
For sure.
So you know,
completely
be a good fucking person. And forget what people think about you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, when you're dead, forget it. You know, nobody's going to remember you anyway. So why the hell would you give them any?
Exactly. Yeah. Don't give them the time of day.
Yeah. Don't give them the time of day. Doesn't matter.
But like, do value some people's opinion. You gotta, you know, in terms of, but people that close to you, that know what's best, like the information with you, but don't be brainwashed by social media or people that are just trying to get you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I mean, there's feedback, there's useful feedback there.
For sure.
Regardless of what's happening. But
just don't like shut everything out. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
because that's worse as well, right?
Don't let it get to you, because that's where when it starts changing your behavior, that's no good.
Yeah, that's when it gets bad.
Extraordinary things come from doing ordinary things for an extraordinary period of time. So do the simple things, don't miss. Just do it every day. Do it every day. If you do that, you will automatically be outworking 90% of people by just being consistent, because most people get that wrong, and that's the most important part.
For sure.
So
love that one. Plain and simple.
Yeah, plain and simple. And the next one is, it's all on the way, not in the way. You may think that an event in your life was terrible, but how many events that happen in your life where you look back a year, 5 years, 10 years later, you realize, oh my God, all that terrible had good in it, or vice versa. All that good that I thought was there actually had terrible in it. It's all on the way. Listen to the feedback. Try to see things, each event. Try not to label them good and bad. Just nature is doing its thing to bring you authenticity.
Yeah.
Just trust that if it's a challenge, it's just trying to correct you from maybe pursuing a little too much of the support side of life.
And it comes in mysterious ways, so just keep your eyeballs open and look for them, because sometimes it presents itself.
100%. Never budge on your values. It doesn't make sense to sacrifice yourself for other people. Don't do it. Use communication as a way to get what you want and also help others get what they want. there's always a win-win scenario. It's just not always the easy way. So put a little extra time into caring enough about the other person. So when you help other people get what they want, you get what you want.
Bada bing, bada boom.
And lastly, show humility. That's it. That's the last one. Increase your regard for others, serve the world, just, be a good person and show humility,
Love that. That was another episode of the Creative Island podcast. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of our community. We have weekly newsletters or monthly newsletters. We're building a community of strong young artists out there. If you're in Toronto, tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your grandparents, tell your siblings, tell your friends. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And if you'd like to be notified of more episodes, please be sure to follow the Creative Island podcast now.
Want access to exclusive content, our community newsletter, live events, and so much more? Visit creativeisland.online today to join the Creative Island community.
See you at the top.